In a small, bustling village where life moved at the pace of the wind, lived a dog named Inky. He was undeniably strong, surprisingly quick, but carried one devastating flaw: a relentless, insatiable greed. Today, however, Inky believed he had outsmarted the world. He had just scored the ultimate prize, a magnificent, big, fat beef bone roasted to perfection. This wasn't just food. This was a symbol of his victory, his cunning, his sheer luck. But his triumph was immediately poisoned by paranoia. As soon as the bone was in his mouth, the satisfaction vanished, replaced by a fierce protective anxiety. Inky couldn't simply enjoy it. He stopped, snarling fiercely at every shadow, every scent. Because to the greedy, what you have is never enough. It's merely a possession waiting to be stolen. He clamped his jaws tighter, the fear of loss burning hotter than the joy of ownership. Frantic to find solitude, Inky sought a place where no one could see his treasure. He ran out of the village, heading toward an old wooden bridge that arched over a small, quiet stream. The water below was perfectly clear, undisturbed. Inky was running straight toward his fate, utterly unaware that he was about to cross the boundary between reality and a devastating illusion. Inky finally stopped on the bridge. He paused to catch his breath, and then he looked down. The water was glass still. He saw a reflection, a perfect mirror image of himself. But then his heart leaped. There was another dog staring back, and that dog was holding a bone that looked twice as big, twice as succulent, a majestic prize that dwarfed his own. Astonishment quickly morphed into blinding envy. The sight of the larger bone was a physical blow. Inky completely forgot the prize he already held. His relentless greed ignited like a furnace, consuming all logic. He paced back and forth, growling tentatively. He whispered to himself, "I must have it. I must have them both. The bigger bone belongs to me. If I own that too, no one will ever challenge me." Inky's delusion took complete control. He convinced himself that the real bone in his mouth was suddenly secondary, almost worthless. The shimmering image below, the bigger bone in the shadow, became his singular, overwhelming obsession. The simple reality of the cool, heavy bone he possessed vanished, replaced by a thirst for the spectacular, the unobtainable. His logic collapsed. The moment arrived. Driven by a desperate urge to seize the other dog's prize, Inky mustered all his strength. He threw his head back, opened his jaw wide, and let out a single furious bark. And in that single, greedy, grasping moment, the prize he had worked for, his actual perfect beef bone, slipped free. The sound was a hollow plop. The water surface shattered, and the rival dog, the illusion, vanished entirely. Inky was left scrambling in the cold water, his mouth full of nothing. The real bone, his actual treasure, was already sinking deep into the mud below. He had traded everything for an empty reflection, and was left clutching nothing but cold, bitter water. Inky hauled himself onto the bank, soaked, shivering, and defeated. He had failed the simplest test. His gut ached with hunger, but his heart ached with something far worse: profound, irreversible regret. He stared at the still water, the silence amplifying his misery. The dog below wasn't a rival, he finally realized. It was Inky himself, reflected, magnified, and blinded by his own insatiable greed. He understood the harsh truth. By desperately grasping for the invisible and the unattainable, he was condemned to lose himself and everything he truly possessed in the visible world. Inky slowly turned and walked away, a lonely, wiser figure. Let this be a perpetual lesson. Never trade what you hold for what may only be a reflection of your own excessive desire. Because boundless greed in the end will strip you bare and leave you with nothing but empty paws.